We're going to continue our look at array formulas. This time we're on the worksheet labeled Array Formulas. And here we have students, a bunch of students, what they scored on their first exam, what they scored on their second exam, right? And what we'd like to be able to do is find how well they improved from the first exam to the second exam, right? So looks like they didn't do so well in the first one, so some of them worked harder, studied more, etc., made improvements. So what is the best improvement? What's the worst improvement, right? So there's lots of ways to do this. One way that you might think of immediately is to say, well, I'll just create a new column called progress, and I'll just say exam 2, right, C3, minus B3. So this first person, Noah, improved by 38 percentage points. Then I can auto-fill it down, and I can see all of the improvements, right? Luckily, all of them are positive, not negative. That would be bad for the student, meaning they went worst. So then if we wanted to see what the best was, right, we could do something like max, and then select all of them and see what was the best. We see 39 points. If we look at it, it looks like there are two people that did that actually, Jacob and Jackson both. And then we could do the same thing for min if we wanted to see the worst improvement. And we see here that it's 15. Right? It looks like there's a couple right here that were 15, Lucas and Oliver. So that relies on me creating a new column and then using that to figure things out, right? So what we could do instead is we can use an array formula. Over here we can say equal max, and I'll give it the range C3 through C18 minus B3 through B18. Now, it's an array formula, so for legacy and just for good measure, I'm going to hit Control Shift Enter, and we see that we get the same number, 39. Right? And up here again, we see in the formula bar that we have our curly braces indicating that it is in fact an array formula. Now I'm using Excel 365, so what happens if I come down here back into the cell and just hit enter instead of Control Shift Enter? Because I'm on Excel 365, it's smart enough to use that array formula without hitting Control Shift Enter. But if I try to take this to try to give it to someone who only has Office 2016, it would not work. It would throw an error. So the worst progress, right? Similar. We do a min, take exam 2, C3 through C18, subtract out exam 1, B3 through B18, and hit Control Shift Enter again, 15. So we get the same answer, right? That we got down when we did it over here. And again, if I just hit enter because I'm in Excel 365, that works. So that is using arrays to find the max and min. Right? What if I wanted to find the overall highest score? Well, one thing you could do, so let's say we're looking at it for the exam 2. One thing you could do is sort it by exam 2, right? That's certainly one way you could do it. There's another way too. You can do, there's a function called large. It takes in an array. I'll give it all of exam 2. And then the second one is K, which is what is the how many of the largest do you want? So I want 1 to be the largest, right? So 87. And so if we skim, that's the first one. It looks like that is in fact true. That is what it's supposed to be, right? If I want the second highest or second largest, I can do large, and I'll do exam 2 again, comma 2, 76. So that's a little bit harder to find by just scanning, but it looks like it's down here with Jacob. That's all. That's great, right? So now what if I wanted the average of the top 4 scores on the second exam? Well, average already takes in an array, so it's not necessarily really an array formula, but we can pass to it, we can nest inside average the large function that we just did, right? So I'm going to do large pass in C3 through C18. And now, in order to get the top 4, I can't do 1, 2, 3, 4. That will, I think, will yell at me. Yeah, I've entered too many arguments for this function, right? So the second argument actually needs to be inside of curly braces to indicate that I'm sending an array to that second parameter of large. So now it should return the first 4, right? Top 4. 79. Actually, I think it might be a little bit different than that. It is. It's 78.5. Right? So how would I check to see if that's correct? Well, I would probably sort these, pick the top 4, right? 87, 76, 76, 75, and we see down here the average is 78.5, right? So it looks like I'm doing it right. What about if I was interested in the smallest of them, right? So let's do small. All these guys. Oh, I need an equal sign or else it's not going to do anything. Equal small takes in an array and then the number I want. So the smallest, right? That should give me back that. So 42. Let's find the smallest. What if I wanted to find the 4th smallest? Well, I'd go in here and I'd change out the 1 for a 4. 60. So now, what if I wanted to know the average of the lowest 4 scores? So we can do that, right? We do average. We mimic what we did for the top scores, average. But now we do small, pass in the array containing the exam 2 grades, C3 through C18, comma, and now we need an array of numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside curly braces to tell it it's an array. Close off the small, close off average, and we get a 50. Let's see if that one's different. I think it's probably not, actually. It's not, so it is exactly 50. All right, so we saw that 42 is the smallest. Here's a 44, 54, 60. Those are the 4 smallest, and look at that. The average is of 50 right here, right? So that's using some different array formulas and how to send in parameters to a function as an array inside of curly braces. So that could be very useful for you as well.